23rd, 1967, Cordele, Georgia. It's a small town, the kind where folks wave from porches and prayer lists travel faster than police reports, and in one home, tragedy kept visiting again and again. In less than 2 years, there would be 5 funerals, and the same woman standing at the front pew every single time. She was a devoted church member, a daycare operator, and a grieving mother everyone seemed to want to protect. But while the people around her blamed liver disease, heart attacks, and bad luck, something far more sinister was at work. This is Janie Lou Gibbs. Hymns, prayers, and poison. Hey y'all, I'm Chris Calvert.
And I'm her husband, Rob Podorf. Welcome to Hitched to Homicide.
For better or worse.
Till death do us part.
Happy New Year and welcome back.
Yes, welcome.
Oh my God.
There you go.
That just sent me through the roof in here. I had no idea he was going to do that. That's better. A little further away from my ears, please.
Sorry about that.
Wow.
It was a good one, though. It's my little stocking stuffer that I got for Christmas.
There you go. He's a 12-year-old boy.
Mm.
That's why I married him.
24 hours a day.
Yep.
So welcome. And for our friends in Burkina Faso.
That's one you have never said before.
Well, it's in the heart of West Africa. It's situated in the Sahel region between the Sahara Desert and the Guinea Gulf.
And you just knew that off the top of your head.
Because I'm just a veritable wealth and cornucopia of useless information.
There you go.
Nyongo.
Very nice. Well, wherever you're listening, be sure to subscribe to Hitched to Homicide, then like, rate, and review the podcast so others who like true crime can find us.
Yep.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you want true crime with us all the time, please join our closed Facebook group, The In-Laws and Outlaws. Go to Facebook, type in H2H In-Laws and Outlaws, answer a couple questions you are in, go join. We had lots of people joining over the holidays.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And for those of you that haven't answered those couple of questions, please answer them because we want you in.
We do want you in there. I like to post photos and other information in there as well. It's a great group of true crime folks. We love them a lot.
Yep.
You can find us on Instagram at Hitched to Homicide or on X at H2H_podcast. And we have a Buy Me a Coffee link if you want to send Rob some coffee.
Please do.
He drinks it all the time.
Uh-huh.
You can find that link in our show notes as well.
I'm on my 14th cup right now.
So if he's a little jittery today, you know why.
Yeah, if the camera starts shaking, you know what's happening.
I'm laying off the caffeine in 2026. So if I seem a little lethargic today, you'll know why as well.
Actually, caffeine doesn't affect me. I can drink a cup of coffee before I go to bed and it doesn't make any difference.
It's not true, y'all.
It's
not true.
It is.
You can also send us a text. The link to that is at the top of the show notes where it says, send Chris and Rob a text. It's a brand new year, 2026. I'll be screwing that up until the end of February on everything I write it on. We're in the middle of college football playoffs. It's very exciting. Lots of exciting games last weekend.
Except for my Buckeyes.
Rob's Ohio State Buckeyes did not make it. I was really proud of the Ole Miss Rebels. Kind of an exciting game there.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately for the Buckeyes, they had 25 days off, a whole month.
Making excuses, y'all.
Well, no, and they played like they'd been off for a month, too.
They did.
Jeez.
It was. God love those young boys. You know, I think I always forget that they're just like young kids out there playing.
Yeah, fresh
they're
out of
not
high school.
professionals. Some of them are 18 years old. Try to cut them a little bit of slack.
But I'm still a Buckeye.
Yes, he is. But the NFL wildcard games are happening. I love football, y'all. College, pro, football, college basketball.
One of the reasons I love my beautiful bride.
I'll do baseball, but I like to watch that one in person.
Yeah, me
too.
too.
Not everybody needed to know that.
Oh, well. Now you know everything.
Yes, I'm good with all of those sports because I watched our son play growing up, including lacrosse. Yep. So I was a mom at football and basketball and baseball and lacrosse from the time he was like teeny tiny when his shoulder pads were bigger than him to when he graduated high school. By the way, our son Luke got engaged over the Christmas holiday. Woo-hoo! And we're very excited for him and his beautiful and lovely fiancée.
Yeah, she's great.
Lots to look forward for us in 2026.
And we'll have a built-in lawyer.
Yes, we will. We like that.
Yes.
So 2026, lots to look forward to, but today we're talking about 1966 and a harmless little old church lady.
Well, isn't that special?
Now, isn't that special?
Isn't that special?
I knew you were going to do it, so I wanted to beat you to it.
You did.
Before we get started, let me thank some sources. Wikipedia, Serial Killer Calendar, Find a Grave, Course Hero, Gibbs versus the State of Georgia, Deadly Women, True Crime All the Time, Crime and Investigation, The Macon News, The Macon Telegraph, The Atlanta Journal, and The Atlanta Journal-Constitution, among others. You can find all the sources I've used for today's podcast in our show notes.
Nice. Well, you ready?
I am.
Let's do it.
Janie Lou Gibbs was born on December 25th, 1932 in Georgia to Ephraim and Annie Lou Gibbs. Janie's father is going to die when she's just 4 years old, leaving her mother with 5 children under the age of 11 to raise on her own.
Man. She
and her siblings grew up during the Great Depression in the South, and this is a region that's already marked by poverty and hardship, so it was even worse during the Depression.
But other than that...
oh,
man.
There's little documented about her childhood. We do know that she had 2 brothers and 2 sisters, Marion, Fred, Banny, like Fanny with a B, and John Mark. She's the 5th child born between Banny and the youngest brother, John Mark. In 1949, when she is 17 years old, Janie Lou marries Charles Clayton Gibbs, who is 23. She will later say that the marriage wasn't all that and a bag of chips.
All that and a bag of chips.
I'm paraphrasing.
Was that a common phrase back then?
It might have been.
It could have been.
But Charles was born and raised in Cordele, Georgia, in Crisp County. I loved that, Crisp County.
Where do you live? I live in Crisp County, and we're always happy and ready to go.
He worked as an electrician, and he was the breadwinner, while Janie stayed at home in Cordele, where they settled. And these two would have 3 children, 3 boys. Now, as I was doing the research, the math isn't exactly mathin' on the marriage date and the birth of their first son, Roger. She would be 17 in 1949, but the birth date for Roger Ludine Gibbs is August 2nd, 1948. So somewhere in there, maybe she possibly got pregnant first, or she was one of those very lucky ladies who got pregnant on her honeymoon. I'm being facetious. And maybe she was actually 16 when she got married. Regardless, it is Georgia.
Yeah.
People say that about Kentucky, so I'm allowed to spit that out there. Anybody in the South, it's like, were your mom and dad brother and sister? When I say I'm from Kentucky, are your mom and dad brother and sister? No, idiot. My mom's from North Carolina.
Yeah,
okay?
there are 2 states that always get hammered with the most ridiculous comments, and it's West Virginia and Kentucky.
Oh, I was going to say in Tennessee.
Well, yeah, but...
They just lump us all in there together.
Yeah, like we don't have teeth and don't wear socks. Okay, well, I don't wear socks, but I do have my teeth.
Yeah, but my parents were actually from 2 different states. Regardless, it doesn't matter other than the fact that I like to get my dates correct. So I don't care if she got married at 16 or 17 or whatever happened.
All right.
So they have their first son, Roger. Then 2 years later, Melvin Lester Waits Gibbs is born on October 15th, 1950. And 3 years after this, their youngest son is born on June 21st, 1953, Marvin Ronald Gibbs. Now, Janie is quiet. She's very involved at the Pleasant Grove Baptist Church in their very small community. It's like less than 10,000 people. Janie's known as a caring mother, a supportive wife. She loved to cook for her family. I will say that I've seen photos of her, and she doesn't seem overweight to me, but more than one newspaper called her, quote, plump, end quote.
Really?
Which would never happen today. Can you imagine fat shaming someone in the newspaper?
Yeah.
Apparently it wasn't a thing in the late 60s.
Right.
In January of 1966, Janie's husband Charles has a heart attack and dies at the Crisp County Hospital. His funeral was at their church, Pleasant Grove Baptist Church, where Reverend Jack Dowdy and Reverend James Bryan officiated. Janie was stoic at the funeral and when they buried Charles at the Sunnyside Cemetery. And her friends and the other parishioners at her church, as well as the ministers, are all thinking, wow, Janie is she's a rock. She's being a rock for her boys after the sudden death of her husband. So everyone's thinking that Janie's just amazing.
Wait, I have to interrupt just for a second. So they live in Crisp
County.
Cordele,
Georgia.
And the graveyard is Sunnyside. I think there's a common theme going on.
It's a Hallmark movie, except people are going to die.
Oh, man. Yeah, this one's on Netflix.
Maybe.
Okay, go ahead.
After Charles dies, Janie is the beneficiary of her husband's life insurance policy. Now, something I found while researching this case is that after Charles dies and Janie gets his insurance payout, the home they shared together catches fire and burns to the ground. Now, I'm sure there was homeowners insurance, but the question I have, and of course I am purely speculating, and there is absolutely nothing concrete in any of the source material, right?
Right.
But did she commit arson? Did she burn down her own home for the insurance money? Hold that thought.
Okay.
Because after the fire and after Janie gives 10% of the life insurance proceeds to her church, she's tithing. Janie uses this money to buy a large white house, and it's a clapboard house is what they call it. So It's got siding.
Huh.
She actually moves in next door to her 6th grade teacher. And it's at this point that she opens a daycare center for working mothers in her home. And at the height of her business, she will care for 25 children.
Okay.
So to the outside world and her church family, she's just a church lady.
She's a saint.
The minister's wife, Mrs. Jack Dowdy, because they never use any woman's real first name, they just call her the Mrs. of Jack Dowdy, called her a, quote, wonderful person, very considerate, kind, congenial, Christian, end quote.
Even if she was plump.
Even if she was plump.
God, that's so silly.
But after her husband Charles's death, Janie Lou is getting on with her life. 2 of Janie's boys still live at home. Melvin and Marvin are both still under roof. Roger gets married when he's 18, around August of 1966, just a few months after his father passes away. But what Janie does do is to take out life insurance policies on her children. So after she's been stoic and she's getting on with her life, she decides to take out these life insurance policies on her kids. She was going to take out a smaller amount, but the insurance salesman showed her that she could insure their lives for even more money and not pay that much more in premiums. He's just upselling her, right?
Huge upside potential with very little downside risk. Does that ring a bell?
Yep.
Then just 7 months after Charles's heart attack and death, Marvin, the youngest boy, who is 13, becomes sick after eating one of his mother's homemade cooked meals. He complained of dizziness, headaches, cramping. Marvin Ronald Gibbs would die before he's even admitted to the city hospital in Columbus, Georgia, which was a little interesting to me because this hospital is 91 miles away from Cordele.
Wow.
He will die on August 29th, 1966. Now, doctors say that his cause of death was undiagnosed liver disease. He's 13. Or viral hepatitis, which was a thing and is a thing. But Janie Lou's church family is now rallying around her because in the span of 8 months, she's lost both her husband and her 13-year-old son. And again, the funeral is at the Pleasant Grove Baptist Church, and the same two reverends conduct the funeral. And again, Janie is stoic at the funeral. Also, when Marvin is buried next to his father in the Sunnyside Cemetery. So she really shows no emotion during all of this, okay? She's a rock.
Okay.
And after Marvin is buried, she receives the life insurance money. And again, she gives 10% of the proceeds to the church. And of course, her church family is very supportive of her. She's lost a husband and a child. It's unimaginable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then just a year after Janie Lou's husband, Charles, and 5 months after Marvin dies of supposed viral meningitis, 16-year-old Melvin falls ill. And according to Melvin's 15-year-old girlfriend at the time, her name was Ellen Penny, Melvin was the type of young man who would shake off being sick. He didn't like being sick. But he was having these terrible headaches. He was always pale, and the whites of his eyes were turning red. As his condition gets worse, he goes to see a doctor, and then another doctor, and then another doctor. And they can't figure out what's going on with him. But here's what's happening. Charles, Marvin, and now Melvin have all been poisoned with arsenic.
Ooh.
Rat poisoning.
Wow.
She poisoned her husband, then her son, and now her second son is gravely ill. And according to Ellen Penny, one day while Melvin was sick, she came to their house and Melvin was sitting up in bed and he threw his pillow at his mother and yelled, quote,
"You did this! You did this!"
"You did it. You did it," end quote.
Wow.
And when they both see that Ellen is standing in the doorway and watched all of this happen, Janie looks at Ellen and says something to the effect of,
Did you see that? Did you see that?
"Did you just see what he did? I don't know what it is I'm supposed to do or what he wants me to do for him." Now, at the time, Ellen thinks that it's probably just a part of this delirium that her boyfriend Melvin is having because of all these toxins in his system.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what she was thinking.
Well, yeah, he's basically like bleeding out of his eyeballs,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Melvin is admitted at the Sumter Hospital, which is 30 miles away from Cordele, where they live. And when Ellen goes to visit him at the hospital, she witnesses Melvin's mom, Janie, pouring out the water from the pitcher that the nurses had given him in his room. So I used to be a candy striper, and they're not called that anymore.
Yeah.
But when I was there, they were called candy stripers. And that was one of the things we would do. They had like the little nugget ice and water, and you would fill up the pitcher and make sure they had like a bendable straw in the room. And so he has a pitcher of water in his room.
And by the way, the crushed ice back a long time ago, had a hospital stay. The crushed ice was my most favorite thing about being in the hospital.
Well, when you're pregnant and in labor, that's all you get are ice chips.
Yeah.
So they work hard on the ice in the hospitals, I do believe.
Yeah.
But this is a kid who's got this water in the pitcher that the nurses have brought to him.
Mm-hmm.
And his mom pours it out and replaces it with water that she has brought from home.
That wasn't suspicious at all.
She tells Ellen, she's 15 years old, by the way. Ellen is 15, he is 16.
Right.
But she tells Ellen that the hospital water had too much sulfur in it and that it burned Melvin's throat. Then after this, after she replaces this water, she puts this water inside this pitcher and she hands it to Ellen, the little 15-year-old girl, and asks her to pour Melvin a glass of water.
Well, why don't you do it?
And she does this several times, asking her to refill Melvin's water glass.
Yeah, I mean, that's called plausible deniability.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
She's the one who gave him the water.
Yeah.
And Ellen can tell that Melvin is not getting better at the hospital. He's getting worse. And he's getting worse the more water he drinks. And she's a 15-year-old girl, and she's noticing more than anyone else, except for Janie Lou.
Right.
Melvin Lester Waits Gibbs dies on January 23rd, 1967. Doctors determined he died of what was called porphyria. Porphyria. That's it.
One of those things.
Not porphyria.
Porphyria.
Porphyria. Because somebody's going to email me or text me. Which is also a rare muscular disease because the symptoms are severe abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, pain in the chest, limbs, back, with muscle weakness, paralysis, seizures, confusion, hallucinations. People with this condition, porphyria, they suffer from tachycardia, which is when your heart races, and high blood pressure. And it's fatal for lots of reasons, but mostly due to respiratory failure, which happens due to the paralysis of the breathing muscles, which sounds like that's exactly what happened to Melvin.
Yeah.
Now, each time one of her family members dies, Janie Lou refuses an autopsy, saying she doesn't want her husband or her children, quote, cut open, end quote.
Of course she doesn't.
But the people around her have to be thinking, what is going on in Janie Lou's house?
Right.
Again, his funeral is at her Baptist church. The same minister who conducts Melvin's funeral conducted his father, Charles, and his brother, Marvin. 16-year-old Melvin is buried next to his father and his younger brother at the Sunnyside Cemetery. And once again, Janie Lou collects her son's life insurance payout. And again, she gives 10% of the proceeds to the church, who just so happened to be having a building fund drive. They've got new construction going up. So on top of her tithing, Janie donates an extra $1,000.
You think the insurance company would be going, can we just take a step back here for a second?
Well, the doctors aren't saying anything suspicious at this point.
Yeah.
After this, after she gets her third payout, she buys a new car. And it's been said that Janie Lou never wore the same dress twice ever again. But people in this small town are starting to talk in whispers behind Janie Lou's back in the sanctuary, behind the hymnals.
And you don't want those church ladies starting to gossip because it can be fatal.
Amen. I know you will, Esther. I know you will. But, Esther, I got to tell you something else now.
It's true.
Yeah.
And it's not just her friends. Roger, her oldest son, and his wife Jeanette have also heard these whispers. And maybe even the doctors who've attended to Charles and Marvin and Melvin are thinking it was all a little bit too much of a coincidence that all three of them are dead. But nobody wanted to say anything. Because what if they were wrong? What if Janie Lou was simply the unluckiest wife and mother ever?
I believe the phrase was Lucifer in the flesh.
And what are the odds of that? 1 billion to 1.
They're pretty low. You could probably win the lottery before that happens.
Exactly.
But at the same time, Janie is holding up beautifully in the midst of losing her husband and 2 of her children. Her neighbors said that she seemed comfortable talking about all of their deaths, and she never showed much emotion. But apparently, she said to one of her friends, "Why did this have to happen to me?" Now, people grieve in different ways, and I don't want to say the church ladies were gossiping, but the church ladies were gossiping. She is, after all, putting rat poison into all of their food and drinking water.
Yeah.
But Janie is still running her daycare out of her new home, wearing her new dresses, driving her new car, and she's still highly involved in her Baptist church. And to this point, Janie has received $31,000 in life insurance proceeds, which is a little over $300,000 in today's money. And I'm sure you're thinking what I'm thinking. What's keeping her from poisoning these little kids around her?
Yeah.
And I guess it's that she has nothing to gain from them dying. She'd be losing a client, right?
Yeah.
Now, amid all this death, her oldest son, Roger, who's married and moved out, he and his wife, Jeanette, are pregnant. Their baby is due in September of 1967. And I don't know if Roger felt bad for his mom losing everyone in their family or not, or if there was some other reason, but he and his wife moved in with Janie after they have little Ronnie Edward Gibbs on September 3rd, 1967. But just like clockwork, when little Ronnie is just a month old, Grandma Janie Lou put rat poison, arsenic, into little Ronnie's bottle, and he becomes deathly ill.
Wow.
The baby is taken to what seems to be Emory University Hospital in Atlanta, most likely because it was the closest children's hospital in 1967.
Right.
It's called Henrietta Eggleston Hospital for Children, but Ronnie Edward Gibbs dies on October 7th, 1967. And the doctors that tended to little Ronnie were very concerned about this baby's death, and the mother, Jeanette, she wants some answers. They do an autopsy on the baby. But arsenic poisoning is the last thing the doctors are thinking it could be. If he was a toddler, sure, they'd check for toxins in his bloodstream, like perhaps he got into poison or ingested something he shouldn't have been into.
Sure.
But Ronnie's little body isn't tested for poison during the autopsy. A little over 2 weeks later, Janie's oldest son, Roger, who is grieving the loss of his first child, falls ill. He suffered from severe stomach cramps and dizziness. His mother, Janie Lou, was putting the poison in Roger's coffee every single morning.
Man.
Here, honey, 1 lump or 2.
Wow.
Nearly 2.
This is why I make my own coffee.
I don't even know how to make coffee, y'all. I don't drink it. I've never had coffee. I don't like. I think it's bitter. I do not like it. Not a coffee drinker.
She doesn't like the smell of it.
I don't even like the smell of it.
In fact,
none of it.
This is the only time I get to drink it inside is when we do our podcast.
That's not true. He acts like he's a smoker that I send outside to drink his coffee. It's not true.
I have to sit in 28-degree weather out on the patio so I can drink my morning coffee.
Don't believe a word he says. It's only when he comes upstairs that he's like, got it under my nose. I'm like, move the coffee, please. I can't take it. But nearly 2 weeks after his son is dead, Roger goes to a doctor in Americus, Georgia, for his nausea and vomiting. He's treated for a viral stomach bug. And when it doesn't go away, 3 days later, he sees another doctor in Cordele. And this doctor says the same thing. His symptoms are presenting like a bad stomach virus. But after this, he went home and became very irrational and almost comatose. So he's like oscillating between like hallucinating and barely breathing.
Right.
He went back to the doctor in Albany. This doctor's name is Dr. John Pennington, who ran some tests and saw that Roger's kidney and liver functions were terrible. His kidneys and liver basically weren't working. He was also very short of breath. But before Dr. Pennington could do much to help Roger, he died on October 28th, just 19 days after his son.
Wow.
Dr. Pennington went to Roger's wife, Jeanette, and asked her if her husband had possibly been exposed to any type of poison, or could he have been deliberately poisoned? There was a whole article about this doctor in the newspaper, by the way. And Jeanette tells the doctor, quote, well, this point has been raised previously by physicians in the deaths of the other members of the family, but nothing was ever proven, end quote. Again, I don't know if that meant she and Roger were thinking Grandma Janie Lou poisoned her husband, 3 sons, and a grandson, or if it was just the doctors that attended to them, because they all went to and died in different hospitals.
Right.
Charles in the local hospital, at Crisp County Memorial, Marvin in Columbus, Georgia, Melvin in Sumter, Georgia, and little Ronnie in Atlanta, and Roger died in Albany, Georgia.
And I'm sure, too, that you would not want to think that your own mother would be poisoning her own kids and husband.
Sure.
So, you know, you're in denial.
And she's this little church lady
Yeah.
that everybody loves. And, she's given 10% of her life insurance proceeds to the church and even gave him an extra $1,000 on top of that for the building fund.
We love Jesus more than anybody.
And she's watching these little kids during the day. So these working moms, I mean, remember, it's mid-60s, 1966, 1967. There weren't a whole lot of moms that were working back then.
Well, isn't that special?
Yes, it was. So it was hard for them to look at her and think, she's a killer.
Yeah.
Apparently all they were doing was looking at her and going, she's plump. This time, Roger's wife, Jeanette, again uses her right as the next of kin to request an autopsy. And Janie Lou loses her mind. She desperately tries to talk her daughter-in-law out of doing the autopsy on Roger, saying they're going to carve him up. But Jeanette's not having it, and she demands an autopsy because now she's lost her first child and her husband.
Yeah, and she's got the right to say, yes, I'm going to have an autopsy, not you, Mom.
That's correct, because she is their next of kin.
Yeah.
Now, these test results are going to take time.
We got the results back from Sam's toxicology.
This is 1967 and not CSI Hollywood.
Sure.
Roger dies at the end of October 1967, and on December 21st, 1967, the results from the autopsy come back. Roger died as a result of a fatal concentration of arsenic in his system. An Albany doctor, John Pennington, calls the Dougherty County coroner, the local coroner in Albany, Georgia, who then calls the Crisp County coroner, his name is J.D. Rainey, who was also the undertaker Janie had used in the funerals of Charles, Marvin, and Melvin. Now, the Crisp County sheriff, his name is Early Posey, and that does sound like a Hallmark movie.
Early Posey.
Early Posey.
Wow.
It's Georgia,
Yeah.
and it's a Hallmark movie, except people are dying.
Yeah.
But Early is notified, and maybe he's thinking this case is too big for us, or we're too close to this, and he brings in the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. And 2 days later, on December 23rd, 1967, right before her 35th birthday, she's only 35.
Man.
Janie Lou Gibbs is arrested by Captain Hugh Smith and Lieutenant John Perry, both of the GBI. Now, interestingly enough, Janie's mother, Annie Lou Hickox, is in the hospital at this time. She's sick. And you might be thinking, uh-oh.
Yeah.
But she did not show any signs of being poisoned. It's only the men in Janie's life. So what does that say about her?
Let me think. She doesn't like men. Okay.
Maybe there's something behind that.
Yeah.
The police interrogate Janie, and faced with the evidence that she had poisoned her oldest son, Roger, they're like, look it, lady. It's all right here.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, she denies it. I don't know what you're talking about. But then they're like showing her the autopsy results, and they're saying, he's got all this arsenic. You've been poisoning him. She tells them that she did feed him rat poison, but she wouldn't tell the police why.
Really?
She would not give them a motive. And this is when Sheriff Early Posey, Coroner J.D. Rainey, and the Cordele Circuit Solicitor D.E. Turk put their heads together and asked Superior Judge Leroy McMurray Jr. to sign off on exhuming the bodies of Janie Lou's husband, Charles, and the two other sons, Marvin and Melvin, to check for arsenic.
Wow.
They did not request to exhume the baby's body. Then on December 27th, Judge McMurray grants the exhumation of Charles, Marvin, and Melvin, and now the authorities want to keep this as secret as possible. This is a tiny little town, and they don't want to stir up more than they have to.
Sure.
Janie's preliminary hearing was supposed to take place the day after Christmas in 1967, but the judge delayed it. She does show up in court that day, crying and only answering yes and no to the judge's questions. She'd been given 2 attorneys appointed by the court, but the judge wanted to give her the opportunity to hire her own attorney with all her money that she's made from insurance fraud.
Right.
Authorities go to the Sunnyside Cemetery. This is where it no longer becomes a Hallmark movie. They work in secrecy. They put up a tent around the 3 graves and they exhume the bodies one by one, performing the autopsy right there under the tent.
Okay, I came from a very small town. So nobody was suspicious that there was a tent up on these.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Each one of these autopsies takes about 45 minutes. And I actually looked up the protocol for this type of forensic autopsy. First, they would document the chain of custody, the condition of the coffin, the burial environment, because soil contact and embalming fluids can affect the interpretation of arsenic levels.
Oh.
Then after photographing the remains, they would do an external examination to record the degree of decomposition, and then they would open the body. And in the 1960s, the arsenic workup prioritized the liver, which is the primary organ of concentration for poisons and can be tested for arsenic long after death.
Okay.
The kidneys, which alongside the liver can show poison, the stomach and the intestines, which can show unabsorbed arsenic, the spleen and lungs, which will also show the toxins, and the deceased person's hair. Now, by the 1960s, there were cases that had demonstrated that elevated arsenic could be detected in hair many years after death. But this is a newer test, and today it's used all the time. They don't necessarily have to take out your liver and your spleen and all that. They can test your hair for arsenic.
Wow.
Dr. Larry Howard from the Georgia State Crime Lab oversees the exhumation and autopsy. And while they're doing this, a crowd starts to gather on the roads around the cemetery because people are nosy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course they were out there.
Of course, it's a small town.
Small town. They want to know the tea.
Yeah.
And while this is going on, the team at Emory University turned over any samples that they took during little Ronnie's autopsy to the Georgia Crime Lab for further testing. Now, the Albany Herald published an interview with Janie right after she's arrested, where she said concerning her family's deaths, quote, "I don't question God's work. The Bible says they will get their reward. I never thought any of them would die. I just tried to keep it out of my mind. It will be the loneliest Christmas I have ever spent, and birthday too," end quote.
Has anyone ever told you that you're just a little preachy?
Totally don't understand what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
She goes on to say, quote, "I just naturally love children. I don't know what I would do without them. It's all right in the day with these children, but when they leave, it's dark and you've got the whole night to spend with the 4 walls looking at you," end quote. Yeah, they're looking at a murderer, Janie.
Wow.
I never thought any of them would die.
Yeah.
But why put poison in their food and coffee deliberately?
Mm-hmm.
She also said that when her husband Charles was dying, he told her she should, quote, "prepare to be alone," end quote. I think Charles knew what was up.
Yeah.
On January 11th, 1968, Judge Leroy McMurray Jr. signed an order to transport Janie to Albany, Georgia, and the Phoebe Putney Hospital for psychiatric tests. He's thinking Janie Lou is a few songs short of a hymnal. Her attorneys requested this order, and he granted it. We need to make sure she's fit for trial. That's what they're saying.
Right.
And Janie Lou later came back to Cordele the week of January 15th after her psychiatric exam. The toxicology results of all the men in Janie Lou's family were given to the Solicitor General, D.E. Turk, on January 21st. Now, the Solicitor General declined to announce the results of the toxicology tests, but the Macon, Georgia Telegraph News reported that toxicology confirmed arsenic poisoning in all 5 victims, and Melvin's liver, he's the middle child and the third to die, the one she was dosing his water at the hospital.
Right.
His liver and kidneys had 20 times the normal amount of arsenic found in the human body, because we all have arsenic in our body.
I didn't know that.
The average is 20 micrograms a day in total exposure for a typical adult, with the primary source being drinking water and food. Grains like rice and seafood contain less, toxic organic forms of arsenic and not the inorganic kind that is used in poison.
Okay.
Now, a grand jury met on February 7th, 1968 to consider Janie's case. And remember, Janie was first sent to the psychiatric hospital for testing. She was brought back to the Crisp County Jail on February 4th, 1968.
Okay.
Then she undergoes further examination at Talmadge Memorial Hospital in Augusta, Georgia, under court order. Dr. Turner and Dr. E.J. McCraney determined that Janie was legally insane. Dr. Turner reported that Janie suffered from reality distortion and schizophrenia, or what he called a split personality. They don't call it that anymore. Psychiatrists determined she was not presently psychotic, but she was insane at the time of the murders. So a temporary insanity that lasted over a year and a half, where she poisoned all the men in her family.
So she poisoned all the men in her family, and then she wasn't insane anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Dr. Alan Turner, an Albany psychiatrist, testified at the grand jury hearing that Janie admitted to poisoning her family, but didn't express any guilt or remorse. She admitted to poisoning Roger, but didn't actually believe he was dead. Dr. Turner told the grand jury that Janie Lou knew right from wrong, but she saw the world as an evil place her family shouldn't be forced to live in. I guess she made that determination whether to live in it or not for them.
Yeah.
Quote, "Yes, I poisoned him," meaning Roger. "They say I did it. I must have done it, but I don't believe he is dead," end quote. Dr. Turner also said Janie suffered from schizophrenia, so her attorneys pleaded insanity. And when D.E. Turk called Janie Lou Gibbs to the stand, just because of the doctor's testimony, the grand jury, which consisted of 11 men and 1 woman, declared Janie legally insane.
Wow.
She was ordered to be committed to Central State Hospital in Milledgeville, Georgia, until she had been cured of her mental illness. That's how the order was read. If she was cured, then she would stand trial. Meanwhile, the insurance company's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hang on there, speed racer.
We want our $31,000 back.
Yeah.
And in 1969, they went to court to sue Janie Lou for the insurance proceeds, and apparently they did get some of their money back. Janie remained at the hospital for years, at this psychiatric hospital for years, until 1974. So the minute she's deemed competent, she's going to stand trial. And over the past 6 years, the court ordered the doctors there to keep them abreast of her condition and her fitness to stand trial. So they're always like, how's Janie Lou doing? She's not ready. How's she doing this year? Not ready.
She's not ready yet.
But that day came in 1974 when her doctor, Juan Perez, decided she was no longer knuckin' futs. That was what was written in her chart.
Knuckin' futs?
Yes. No longer knuckin' futs.
Right.
Because Janie Lou Gibbs was found sane in order to stand trial, and they set the date for June 12th, 1974. D.E. Turk is informed by her psychiatrist at the hospital that she was not presently psychotic, but her attorneys filed 37 motions, challenges, and pleas to delay her trial. So she's taken to the Crispin County Jail to wait out all these different delays that her attorneys are coming up with.
Right.
And while she's there, Janie Lou Gibbs would be a model prisoner.
Of course she would. She's like, she's thinking, okay, I just got to keep myself straight here because this is the only chance I've got to get out of this.
I got to keep my head down and my eyes on my own paper.
There you go. Pencils ready, go.
When she does go on trial, her younger brother, Air Force Captain J.E. Hickox, a pilot stationed in Pensacola, Florida, sat with her during her proceedings and wanted her original confession thrown out because she didn't have an attorney present at the time. Remember, they show her all the evidence and she's like, no, I haven't poisoned anybody. And they're like, come on, Janie.
Yeah.
And that's when she says, okay, I did it. But she did confess to the police and then to a newspaper who reported on it, remember?
Yeah.
Judge Leroy McMurray rejected all of the motions but one, and that one was when they asked for a speedy trial. He said, Lord, yes, resolve this one on the double.
Yeah.
Dr. Juan Perez of Central State Hospital testified that he conducted testing for Janie for 14 months, and he believed she was sane. Jury selection began on April 30th, 1976. The trial started on May 4th, and D.E. Turk led the prosecution, telling the jury that he would introduce a 14-page confession where Janie admitted to the poisonings, where she initially denied killing Roger, but then she confessed to everything, sang like a canary. The prosecution revealed that in total, Janie collected $31,000 in life insurance payouts after her husband and 3 sons died. Janie admitted to poisoning Roger on October 22nd, 1967. He would die 6 days later. She admitted that she gave little Ronnie arsenic in his milk bottle after going to church. She poisoned him after she came home from church.
Wow.
The prosecution talked about the autopsies that were done early on, but that no arsenic testing was done, and that's how she got away with some of the murders. 2 different doctors testified that they were puzzled by the deaths, but they didn't consider poisoning as a cause of death. Janie's neighbor, Eileen Maddox, testified that when doctors suggested an autopsy after Marvin's death, that Janie declined because she didn't want him to be cut open. Former GBI Director Hugh Smith, GBI Lieutenant J.H. Perry, and Officer Jan Young testified that Janie appeared sane and rational when she was arrested, and she confessed pretty quickly after what they called a, quote, token denial. She just broke down and confessed.
Yeah.
Dr. Kennedy testified for the state and said that when he examined Janie back in 1968, she had an IQ of 81, which is lower than average, but that she had full capacity to tell right from wrong. Well, what's she going to church for all that time if she's not learning what's the difference between right and wrong?
Right, right.
Jeanette, Roger's wife and Ronnie's mother, testified that Janie helped take care of Ronnie and would bring him gifts, and that Janie tried to talk her out of ordering an autopsy on both Roger and Ronnie, saying they've already suffered enough. Then Leonard Harp, an insurance salesman, testified that Janie summoned him to the house shortly after the death of her husband so that she could take out policies on her 3 sons. He said that she told him she didn't have enough money to properly bury her husband, so she asked for a $2,500 policy for each of her children. But he upsold her to bigger policies after he talked to her about what was a pretty inconsequential cost difference, remember?
Right.
And it was just 5 months later that Janie's son Marvin was dead. Now, before the prosecution rested, they called Dr. William Anderson, who treated all 3 of Janie's sons. He said that he thought Janie seemed like an ordinary, concerned mother, attempting to do what was required, and she seemed loved by her children. She seemed to him to be a good mom. Well, yeah, the church thought she was a kind, godly woman.
She's a woman of God.
Right.
There were other moms who trusted her with their children every day at daycare. Everybody thought she was this wonderful person, but she fooled a lot of people.
Right.
The prosecution rested on Wednesday, May 5th. After questioning 14 witnesses, D.E. Turk established that the victims all died of arsenic poisoning, that Janie collected $31,000 in insurance money, most of it shortly after she took out all the policies. And not only did the doctors feel like she was sane, her friends, relatives, and neighbors also believed that she was sane. Then Janie Lou's defense attorney, Frank Martin, argued that acquittal was the only possible legal verdict in this case because Janie was found insane by a grand jury, and the life insurance money was recovered in a trial in 1969. So because they got some of their money back, you can't hold the murders against her.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's probably all he had.
Yeah.
It's the only thing he could throw at the wall. So he's like, well, I know this isn't going to work, but this is all I got.
Yeah, Frank Martin gets up there in court and says that Janie Lou didn't kill for money. Before she killed her family, she went to a doctor in Albany because she wasn't feeling well. She's going to be diagnosed later in life with Parkinson's, but somehow the defense is saying that Janie thought she was dying and she wanted to send her family to heaven before her so that they would be there waiting for her when she died. And then they would all be together.
Okay.
Again, what are they teaching in this Baptist church?
I'm telling you, that's nothing that I was ever raised up on.
Yeah, well, I didn't even go to a Baptist church. I went to a Christian church, a non-denominational Christian church.
Yeah.
And when I was in grade school, I knew right from wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
The defense gets Joseph Duke, the clinical chaplain at Central State, on the stand. He said that he believed Janie was a very sick woman and didn't know right from wrong. 4 other defense experts testified that Janie was insane when she killed her family. Dr. W.K. Smith testified she was very clearly mentally ill, schizophrenic, a sort of splitting of the mind. So did she have 2 different personalities, one that killed people and one that didn't?
No.
I can't make that out.
Nope.
Dr. Juan Perez, Dr. Jose Mendoza, and Dr. E. James McCraney testified that Janie was schizophrenic and didn't know right from wrong at the time of the murders. Dr. Mendoza told the court that during her 8 years at the psychiatric hospital, Janie received 11 shock treatments. 11 shock treatments.
Wow.
Janie's brother, John, who was her legal guardian, testified that after her arrest, Janie didn't have an attorney, and the police took a statement from her without one. But the Georgia State Supreme Court had already ruled on this point, saying they could use her confession right after Roger's death. After closing arguments where D.E. Turk said, quote, "These were calculated, premeditated, cold-blooded killings done with malice and forethought. She did it not 1 time, but 5 times," end quote.
Right.
He then called the defense psychiatrist's determination on her saneness pure guesswork.
Yeah.
We know you got degrees, but we think this is all, you're just guessing.
Yep. You're spitballing here.
He then pointed to Janie and said, quote, "I don't claim she did it for the insurance money. I don't know why she did it. The only person who knows why she did it is Janie Lou Gibbs herself," end quote. Frank Martin for the defense said, if there was no criminal intent, then she's not guilty. And there was no criminal intent because she was mentally ill. The acts alone are enough to find her insane. The case went to the jury as of 7 men and 5 women on May 7th, 1967. The next day, May 8th, Janie Gibbs was found guilty of 5 counts of murder and sentenced to 5 consecutive life sentences.
Wow.
She was transferred to the Georgia Women's Correctional Institution. Her attorney, Frank Martin, told the press that Janie understood she was convicted. Quote, "I think she understood that the jury's verdict was that they didn't think she was insane when the action was committed. She did not understand the sentences or the fact that they were consecutive," end quote. Janie's brother told the Atlanta Constitution that he was not pleased with the outcome, but he said, quote, "She's had her day in court," end quote. So now Janie's in a prison, 5 life sentences to be served consecutively, and she's going to be up for parole 17 times. And she will be denied parole 17 times. Then in January of 1992, the Atlanta Constitution published an article titled, "Alone and Dying, She Just Dreams of Going Back Home." Now, by that time, Janie Lou had emphysema. She used a walker to get around. She had difficulty speaking due to her Parkinson's. She spent most of her time alone in her cell, crocheting Afghans and listening to music. What she wanted was to live with her brother and his wife. She told the Atlanta Constitution, quote, "I picture being there helping them cooking. No, I wouldn't let her in the kitchen.
It's the last thing you want.
Cleaning up the house, baking cakes. No."
And administering water.
End quote. Yeah, keep Janie Lou away from the food. I
Wow.
don't care how long she's been in prison.
Yeah.
Quote, "I miss my family. I would never hurt my family. If I had known what I was doing, I was out of my mind at the time that, I killed all of my family members," end quote.
Yeah, whatever.
It was around the same time that this article was published that some fellow prisoners and other supporters outside of the prison began a campaign to have Janie Lou released because she's old and she's dying and she's no longer a danger to anyone. One inmate wrote, quote, "All this lady wants is the dignity to die at home. Those inmates who will most likely return to prison are paroled. Those who won't return, like Miss Janie, are retained as long as possible," end quote. Janie's attorney, still Frank Martin, told the paper, quote, "I think the magnitude of the case from day one, even today, overwhelmed everyone who dealt with it," end quote. Well, yeah, she poisoned everybody in her family.
Yeah.
Janie claimed that she didn't learn about her family's deaths until a hospital chaplain showed her pictures of the caskets. She said, quote, "To find out they were all gone and I had done it was a big shock to me. It was hard for me to accept it, but God forgave me for what I did," end quote. Really?
Yeah.
The new house, the clothes, the new car, the extra insurance policies, the not allowing the autopsy. Even Melvin's little girlfriend knew something was up with Janie Lou, right?
Well, and the fact that she was a church lady, and also, thou shalt not kill. Hello.
That's just one of those pesky 10 commandments.
Yeah.
Hard to get around
It
those.
sure is.
In April of 1999, Janie Lou Gibbs is released from prison due to her failing health. She would die at a nursing home in Douglasville, Georgia on February 7th, 2010. She was 78 years old. I don't know if she ever lived with her younger brother or not.
Yeah.
I do want to say homicide by poisoning is extremely rare overall. And in 2023, which is the most recent detailed FBI data that's available, there were only 20 murders involving poison nationwide out of thousands of total homicides. But if you can believe it, it was even rarer, or it could be that they just didn't keep statistics like this at the time.
Yeah.
But it was even more rare in the 1960s for someone to poison somebody. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that is the story of Janie Lou Gibbs, the church lady who poisoned her family. And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, here's my take on this.
Yes?
She knew exactly what she was doing. Come on.
Yeah, I have a hard time. Yeah, I have a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, there's really not much to say about this one. It's like, come on, you're killing your family and you're saying, I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. And I do understand that there is mental illness out
I think she was mentally ill for sure.
But as far as, I didn't realize they were dead until I saw the coffin. Yeah, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, especially after she stood at the front of the church all those times. So was that a different personality? Did that take over for a whole year and a half? Was that same person who was a murderer taking care of 25 kids every single weekday?
Yeah.
It just doesn't, I can't reconcile, that was the word I was looking for. I can't reconcile all of that together. Just for me, personally.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I don't know how I feel about her being let out to die and outside of the prison, because I mean she killed 5 of her family members. So
yes, but I do think the prison system, which is completely overcrowded, they're like, let's kick this old lady out and she can take care, and we're not paying for her to be here anymore, and she's no longer, a threat to anybody, because they're letting people who killed other people out, thinking that they're no longer a threat.
We'll make space for someone else.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's leave that and go to a little Bless Your Heart.
Well, bless your heart.
Okay, number 1, I'm calling...
Pizza.
I actually heard this little soundbite upstairs before I came down to record in the studio. And I was like, what is he doing with this little Caesar's pizza thing? Okay, now I know.
Okay, well, according to police, a little smear of pizza sauce is what led to a criminal being arrested.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A man responsible for a few car break-ins got busted after he decided to have a delicious pizza to give him the criminal energy he needed to break into some vehicles in Deltona, Florida.
Okay.
Police report finding smears of pizza sauce inside the cars and an abandoned pizza box near one of the cars broken into. A resident in the area reported that her acquaintance had stopped by asking her to look up gift card balances and looking for someone interested in buying a gun. He took a leftover pizza box out of her trash that ultimately what got him busted.
Okay, so hang on a second. Stop for just a second.
Yep.
an acquaintance. So clearly someone who's like, I don't really know this guy.
Yeah.
He showed up and wanted to check gift card balances, like what, on a computer or something?
I don't know.
And he threw away a pizza box. And then when they found,
She threw away the pizza box, and he found the box and took it out of the trash and ate a piece of pizza.
oh, and then he had pizza sauce all over his
You
car.
got it.
But I thought he stopped to get the pizza so we would have like energy to do the break-ins.
No, that was at her house.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. It's a little difficult to follow.
Pizza.
Exactly. Here, let me do it again. Ready?
Pizza.
There you go.
Little Caesars does have very good pizza, by the way.
Yes, they do. So if you want to send us some nice coupons, Little Caesars, I would love that. Okay, next. Several employees at a Taco Bell in Nashville set off fireworks inside the restaurant last week.
Oops.
The explosion started a fire which caused more than $30,000 in damage.
Wow.
Restaurant surveillance shows the staff members locked the doors so customers could not get in during the fireworks stunt. Employees could also be seen running through the dining room with lit fireworks in hands and eventually throwing some in a trash can.
Oops.
The staff then recorded the trash can fireworks from outside the building, and that's when they realized they had locked themselves out. Attempts to get back in the building failed, and they had to call 911.
Oops.
Yeah, the shift leader was arrested, and more arrests are likely.
But the cops got a couple of chalupas and a few tacos on the side before they left.
Well, they were burnt, but they still
They
got
were
them.
covered in powder, gunpowder from the
Exactly.
fireworks.
Yeah. All right, number 3, and finally,
Finally.
I am McLovin.
Hey.
An 18-year-old girl named Blakely Sands tried to go to a bar outside Oklahoma City on Tuesday and was very confident in her fake ID.
Oh, no.
The bartender carded her because she looked about 15.
Okay.
And when she flashed her fake ID, they confiscated it. But instead of just leaving, she opted to call the cops. When the police showed up, she told them the ID was real and that the bartender wouldn't give it back. The name on it was McCamey Queen. It's almost as good as McLovin. So not a very common or last name. And when they ran the license number, it belonged to a random guy in Texas.
Oops.
She's facing charges for trying to mislead police by presenting a fake ID.
And the guy who made it for her, or the gal who made it for her, they're using that same guy's driver's license number for all those fake IDs.
I am McLovin.
I am McLovin.
So there you go.
They're like, sure. What do you want? Belly up. We'll give you whatever you want.
I love those kind of stories.
Well, if you have a bless your heart, or you know somebody's heart who needs blessing, or if you know McLovin, all you got to do is go to hitchedtohomicide.com. When you get there, there's a pull-down menu.
Yep.
While you're there, you can also suggest a case or tell us about your brush with true crime.
Yes.
That's my amazing husband out there.
And that's my beautiful bride in the booth on this first podcast of 2026.
Join us next time on Hitched to Homicide.
Bye, y'all.